This was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen, dude, and Islanders fans seem to agree. So last night, we had ourselves a game between the Isles and the Preds. Of course we did. We had 16 games on tap, so every team was in action. In Nashville, the game was set, the Isles were coming in, and they've been in a pretty tight spot this entire season, especially nowadays since they're in that final wild card. Teams like Detroit and New Jersey, they're coming up behind, man. The Isles have very little wiggle room, and so every point counts. This game against the Nashville Predators, all things considered, was very competitive, and from an effort standpoint, you could definitely say that the Islanders were in it to win it. If you take a look at the expected goals, it was pretty even for the most part, like lots of chances back and forth in the first 20-40 minutes of the game, but it was really tight all the way through, and this was also represented in the goaltending. Ilya Sorokin in this game had a .926 save percentage, meanwhile UC Saros for the Predators had himself a .960 save percentage, so very good numbers both ways. But this game didn't really open up in score until the third period. It was 0-0 at the start of the third, until about 12 minutes in, you had yourselves Jean-Gabriel Pageau going out there with the tip-in shot to start things out 1-0. Now, for me personally, I was freaking out at this goal because J.G. Pageau and Cal Clutterbuck are both on my fantasy team. Seeing them both get points on this goal was great. Clutterbuck, of course, got the assist. But this Pageau goal is not the story that everybody is talking about in regards to this game. Instead, everybody's talking about head coach Lambert, everybody is talking about Matt Martin, and everybody's talking about the embarrassment that was the final few seconds, because this game was super tight the entire way through, but in the last 5 minutes of the third period, you had yourselves a wrist shot by Luke Evangelista that ties the game. It's assisted by McDonough and Tomasino, it's on the power play, it's 1-1, and things are starting to look dire. Now, the Islanders, they need this point. They're in the wild card race. They're holding on right now, so getting this game to overtime would have been in their best interest, if not winning entirely. But in the last minute of the third period of a tie game 1-1, Lane Lambert threw Matt Martin out on the ice, and he ends up making arguably the worst play of the entire season so far. At least circumstantially speaking. Martin has the puck in his own zone, trying to break up. It's 18 seconds left on the clock here. And with all the pressure in the world on the Islanders at this moment, what does Matt Martin decide to do? He chucks the puck up right into the middle of the Islanders zone. It gets taken by Philip Forsberg. Forsberg goes around the Islanders net, throws it over to the defense, across to the other defender. It's William Carrier who gets the goal, and he gives the Islanders a dagger to the heart with 8 seconds left in the third period. It beats Ilya Sorokin. It goes off of the stick of Scott Mayfield. It bounces over the shoulder, and that is the goal. Matt Martin with the giveaway of the year to Philip Forsberg to set up a Predators offensive zone chance that goes off a Scott Mayfield stick and bounces over Sorokin in the most goofy way possible, and the Islanders are down by 1 with 8 seconds left. That is a dagger. It's 2-1 the score, and you can just see the body language. The Islanders are defeated. The Islanders that are on the ice have their heads down. Ilya Sorokin is just kind of kneeling there. He's like, oh, that just happened. That just happened. What a dumb goal that was. And the Predators are celebrating. It's the joys and the contrast of two teams on the opposite side of the emotional spectrum, isn't it? The Preds, of course, good for them. This was a hard-fought game. The Predators are a good team, honestly. Like, I'm always surprised whenever the Canucks play the Predators because they have some good energy. And the Islanders, of course, we know that they're also tough to play against, too. But after this goal, 2-1, 8 seconds to go. The Islanders started out the next shift with the empty net, and it's Parsonen who's able to get it. Long shot, it's in. 3-1, Nashville takes it. With 1 second to go, though, it's 3-1. However, there's still 1 more second to be played, right? So, what gives? Everybody's got to get back to the center ice position, we've got to drop the puck, let 1 second go by, and then we can go home. But the Islanders didn't want to do that. Instead, the Islanders, with 1 second left to go on the final faceoff, actually cleared the bench. They straight up just left. The only Islander that was remaining on the bench actually was Bo Horvat. He's the only guy on the bench waiting for the final faceoff while everybody else goes to the locker room. And that cast of players that left the bench with a second to go before the faceoff, that includes the coach. Lane Lambert's out. He left alongside the other guys. Now, this tweet is very angry when it goes out there and describes it. You want to talk about culture and what it means to be an Islander? Look at Bo Horvat here. All the other country club cowards that wear the crest F off to the room, but this guy sits here and watches until the horn blows. Screw you, Lane Lambert. And, yeah, they do the face-off, they leave, and then the rest of the team walks off. So, not only are the Islanders defeated, but they end up leaving the game, and there are a bunch of replies going out there and asking, like, oh yeah, like, I hate Lane Lambert, but I genuinely think that they might have thought the game was over, which is fair, like, you know, a goal gets scored with 1 second to go, sometimes they don't even drop the puck, sometimes they just deem it at the very end of the game, and that's it. Like, it happens sometimes, but in this situation, there was a second left, and everybody just didn't really care. Bo Horvat is the only guy waiting on the bench, and now I want to go over some Islander fans' comments that talk about the situation. Dr. Turtles goes out there and says this on the sub: I didn't even realize that we cleared the bench. Looks like including Lambert. That's embarrassing. This is not what a professional organization that claims to have high standards does. Bo Horvat needs the C yesterday. I love this guy to death. It's embarrassing, especially if the coach leaves the bench before the end, unless he's kicked out of the game. That doesn't exactly send a good message to your team and your fans if your coach is checked out. Now, here's another comment that I wanted to read from another interesting perspective. It's Otherwise Foot 1740, Islanders Canucks fan here, which is a really nice combo. People in Vancouver say that Bo Horvat wasn't a leader and apparently was locker room cancer due to a lack of on-ice success. What really happened was the Canucks had a hockey terrorist for a GM who iced some of the worst teams I've ever seen. Bo did nothing but work hard day in and day out. He never complained once and was a class act on and off the ice. Keeping Miller was probably the right move for Vancouver, but man, do I miss Bo. And you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to go out there and defend that. Bo Horvat definitely wasn't in the right spot for Vancouver with the contract situation, and especially with Miller's explosion offensively this year. But the sentiment I'm seeing from a lot of Islanders fans is that Bo Horvat probably needs to captain this team. And you know, if he does get the captaincy, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Bo Horvat checks out a lot of the boxes to fill that role, and once he gets into his media mode, he's near flawless in that position. It's just a lot of Canucks fans still are a little bit salty, but whatever, it is what it is. They're never gonna get rid of that comment that he made back when he was traded initially. Also, though, to get semantics out of the way, just to clear things up, there is another comment reply thread that I thought was interesting to at least acknowledge. This was after the empty netter after the horn blew. The refs added a second after the fact. Not great, but it's not as bad as it looks. Not even a second, 0.4 seconds, less than half a second. This entire clearing the bench situation isn't as bad as it looks. So there is a devil's advocate point of view to debate whether or not this really is that bad. I mean, it's not convenient for sure to see the referees need to add extra seconds, but still, at the end of the day, you gotta be there when the horn sounds. So there is that perspective. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about this entire thing? Was it as bad as I'm making it out to be, that the Islanders cleared the bench before the end of the game after going down 3-1 after a very tight and eager battle? It was not a great result for them on paper at the end. All it took was Matt Martin to go out there and do his thing. Lane Lambert's getting the criticism too, not just for the actions of leaving and bringing the team off, but for playing Martin in the final minutes of the game in the first place. Like, that guy was scratched for a little bit. Is this really the guy that's important enough to be put in that role? I don't know. If you're an Islanders fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire situation from last night. We've had a night to sleep and think about it, so maybe cooler heads will prevail and we'll be able to talk about this with a rational set of ideals now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Islanders clearing the bench and losing to the Preds. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.